night come to those who wait, not to those who wait too late. We gotta go for all we know, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us. Just the two of us. Building them castles in the sky, just the two of us. You and I. I hear the crystal raindrops fall on the window down the hall, and it becomes the morning dew. And darling, when the morning comes and I see the morning sun, I want to be the one with you, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two, just the two of us. Building big castles way on high, just the two of us, you and I. Let's get together, baby. Hey, what's up, folks? What's up, comrades? Welcome. How's everybody tonight? Oh, wait, hey, 15, okay. Looks like we've hit a top for the night. Let's hope goes to 16. Hey, how's it going? How are you tonight? How's everybody tonight? That's the question. You guys okay? I'm not a doctor, but I can sure be one. And by the way, I'm not scripted, like I said before. This is just some poetry and some writing, some bullshit. I guess maybe there's a few artsy people out there who want to hear something fun. But anyways, yeah. So welcome to episode 7, folks. This is a milestone for me, and I usually don't do nothing for very long. It's always something broken into pieces. Every time I start something, I never finish it. That's just be my life story. You know what I mean? I start something and it lasts and then just kind of seems to fall apart. I said, hi, how you doing? Haven't I seen you guys before? The two of you? Or you're all new? Hit that subscribe button if you're here for the first time. If you like what you know what? I don't think there's not anybody out there who doesn't want to talk about life and problems, man. Excuse me. There are things that you can't say at home that you can say on this camera, this live. If you really want to go ahead and speak your mind. But this is some. I just felt like I wanted to read a few pieces tonight. And I honestly really don't. I know poetry can be boring, but poetry can also be humbling, encouraging, and it has truly helped people throughout the hard times. And I'm not the most amazing poetry writer, but I think I'm pretty decent. I got some poetry published. I'm not like a famous poet, but you never know. Shit happens overnight in the United States of America. Um, so yeah, let's talk about. See, every time I say let's talk about something, it always goes the wrong way. How about let's not talk about it and just finish it up? So, man, I've been thinking about this today, and I've thought about this for a very long time. I hear people say, I see it on the TV, I see it in the movies, I see it. I heard my friends talk about this particular phenomena. I'll call it phenomena, or this particular human imagination, the human, I don't know, the human, the future ball in your head that sees things, right? I'm going to talk about this for a second. The Jaws are the best. Sweet. You talking about the movie or my Jaws? Yeah. Okay. Oh, the Jews. I thought you said the Jaws. Sorry, man. Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, why not? Why not? Would you please explain? Chuck Norris? You know what? There's this thing that Chuck Norris has a following of people who just make fun of him all the time. I don't know if you guys remember. I don't know if you are like a millennial or not, but in the early 2000s, there was a video on YouTube that was kicking around. It was it was a video about psoriasis, like the skin condition. And there was an old man on there with a mustache, and everybody would make fun of him for saying this thing about psoriasis or whatever. But Chuck Norris is kind of like that. Like now, he's become like laughter, like this symbol of. I don't really know what Chuck Norris really is now. I mean, at some point in his life, he was a movie star, and now he's just a symbol of creative, laughable, non-scripted. I don't know, shit coming out of the asshole. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, but anyways, let's get back to this. So, like I said, I do have some poetry. I do want to read something tonight. And honestly, like I said, it could be boring, and sometimes it could help certain people that are struggling to say something they want to say at home, but they can't say it, but you can say it here. But, anyways, what I wanted to say today on the way to the store is something hit me again, like it did before, about people would say things like when it comes to marriage, people would say such crap like, "You guys look so great together," or like I've even heard things like, "Your guys' faces are so much alike. You must be perfect for each other." I don't know if you guys heard that phrase before. And that's one. The other is, like 20 years ago, I met this couple they had their birthdays on the same day. I think it was like sometimes in January or February. There was this younger couple. I was young at the time, too, 20 years ago. So I want to talk about this facial recognition with people. Well, I don't know where people they got this from, but there's a saying where if if you want to judge a couple that's, let's say, married or they're together, and you want to say to them, well, The reason why you guys are not getting along is because you are not the same sign. You are Virgo, or she's I don't know, Scorpio, or your Aries, or somebody else is I don't know, Gemini or something like that, right? And I always found that to be strange that people, and I even know, uh, well, when I worked in a restaurant some years ago, I've known some couples who strictly follow the rules of Zodiac, and I mean to a fucking T. Like, it was even like, hey, I've married my soulmate. He's a Virgo like me, or he's like Aquarius like me, or whatever it is, and we're gonna live together forever, happy forever because we're the same signs. You know, I'm a Gemini, he's a Gemini. We're gonna be happy. And then someone would just say on the side, well, yeah, you guys really look so good together. Like, look at your faces. How can you not live together forever and happy? You really look alike. Shit like that. And I just find it kind of, honestly, really hard to believe. Um, because I just think every human being is just like for themselves. Everybody's got their character. Everybody's got their personality. You know what I mean? Everybody's got the way they do things, and the way they get irritated and why they get irritated. Every person is for themselves strictly. There's not one human being in this dang world who's alike another. I mean, and like I said, that weird thing about, wow, you guys look alike, you must be soulmates, or you guys have the same zodiac signs, you must be soulmates. I think that's just a bunch of bull. I don't believe in that. But there is some truth to actual zodiac, like this thing where, I don't know. I'll give you an example from me, since I'm a Virgo, right? They'll say like Virgos will give you the shirt off their back, and it's true, right? Uh, I know myself. I want to help people. That's where I've been in this. I feel like I do exist in this world for a reason, to help others. But the problem is I can't do that because I can't even help myself. You see, um, and that's why I'm saying Zodiac really, to me, when someone says you are a Aquarius and you are an Aquarius, you're gonna live forever together, happy. I don't believe in that part, but I do believe partially that each zodiac sign has its own thing. So, but for example, like my mother is a Scorpio, or I know a couple other people who are Aquariuses and Geminis and Lions, and every time I read something that's um, of some sort of story that's kind of aligns with your sign. Like for example, I'll take myself again. And then you have a lot of these guys on YouTube who are like uh, uh, these people. They have the YouTube channels that they one day they talk about this side, and then the other day they talk about this side, and then the other day they talk about this side. And I was following this. I followed the one guy. I'm not gonna mention his name. Even if I wanted to, I can't. I don't remember this guy's name on YouTube. He's he's a zodiac guy. He knows everything about all the signs, and he tells you, what your wife thinks, what your kids think, like all the those fucking zodiac. I call them the zodiac people. Like so that, they tell you your future. They look, that they say, if you're Virgo, this is what's going to happen to you tomorrow, or if you're Aquarius, 10 days from now, this will happen to you, or whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so this guy, I followed him for a while. I still follow him, I just don't watch him as much. I went through a period when I went through a divorce, and I really wanted things to be uh, the way I've believed at the moment that Zodiac and the whole horoscope community is has made me believe that to be right. And hey, how's it going? And thank you for stopping by. I really do appreciate you. So, anyways, so I followed this person. There was a couple of them that I watched every night, and I watched these horoscope people on YouTube almost every night because I was going through divorce. I was kind of depressed and I had issues, and I never really lost believe in myself, but I have lost hope for a minute. So I'm like, you know what? What the heck? Let's watch these people. So I found there's a lady and there's a guy. So I watched them kind of religiously, I would say, for a few months there. This was back in early 2021, right after the pandemic ended. Um, and one evening, he starts talking about this woman, and yeah, there's this woman, and she's watching you, and she will come and talk to you somewhere at some event. This guy's saying that I'm gonna meet this woman, I'm gonna meet this person, I'll meet that person, right? And then the first couple of stories, I figured they were kind of on point, right? But then, like as I kept watching more and more that horoscope stuff on YouTube, these guys talking about this different horoscope signs and predicting and talking about the future and the past or whatever, I had come to conclusion that even when I went to Europe that year, the same year when I got into these horoscope people. Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Esther? Easton Feeney. How you doing, Easton Feeney? Hey, how's it going? How are you guys? And thank you so much for stopping by, man. Appreciate you. I love you, man. Much love from the heart. Much love. Love you all, man. Thank you. Anyways, now fourth episode of horoscope people on YouTube and Zodiac people on YouTube. I'm watching. I'm having all these hopes. There's gonna be this person that's gonna come and save me, and I don't know what the heck I was thinking, right? Then I went to Europe, and I continued to listen to the same people. I took my son over there. I went over there for my father passed away, and I went over there to see him. And I mean, that was hard for me. I had a hard year. I had a very hard year, especially with all the PTSD and my panic attacks. Man, I had a panic attack at the cemetery. I went to see my father. I'll get back to the horoscope, but I just want to say real quick. I do come on and talk about illnesses, and mostly just mental illnesses because I talk about it because I suffer from a mental illness called PTSD and anxiety and panic attacks and stuff like that. But yeah, when I went to visit the grave of my dad, who passed away in 2021 unexpectedly. I mean, she died. Uh, and I had one of the biggest, strongest panic attacks I have ever had in my life. I've had them before, and I've I've thought that was gonna be it for me. Like they were so strong, but this one was different. I guess I just didn't want to accept the truth at the moment. I will come back to the panic attack. Let's get back to the story about the horoscope people, but it has a lot to do with this moment because I was visiting Europe. I was going through divorce, and I figured maybe I can believe that something is gonna change for the positive, and so I'm not the most. I gotta be honest with you. I'm not the most positive person in the world, man. I'm just not. Um, I'm actually more of a negative a person than I am positive. But I always try to believe. I always try to believe things that I believe that could be impossible. I always try to believe, although I'm the most negative person. I think I am pretty negative. I'm very nice, but I'm very negative at times. I don't know. It's just been kind of been my life. I've had a I can't say that I've had a bad life, man. I've had a bad moments in my life, but I've had a pretty decent life, man. As a kid, I've had a decent life. I kind of a war kind of stood on my way and said, "Fuck you, you're not gonna have a good life," like every teenager should. But instead of me hanging out with my friends, I was going through military checkpoints, refugee camps, and going through Red Cross and stuff like that. I got so much to say, but anyways, so I watched these people on YouTube. They were giving me hopes for a while. There's a lady and there's a guy, and there was a period of time there for a few months, even when I went to Europe, that things were going to change. But it did help me in a way. But at the same time, it didn't help me. But I kept watching, see what is going to happen. What's the new? Is there something new they're going to say? That's going to keep me interested. But it's the same as politics. Politics are very freaking boring. That's why I don't do politics anymore. And second, third day, week, two, a month went by. I'm still watching these people, and I'm hoping something will change. And every time I look at every time I listen to a story, it's always kind of the same. They always take the same story and spin it a different way. This guy, he had this thing when he loved to say things like, "There's this person." So this guy had a story, right? He would talk about it. He was this horoscope guy, and he would have this one story, but he would always tell the story in a different way, right? I think they all do that, but it kind of gives you hopes. And those people that really religiously believe in that stuff, they stick around. And I don't care. That's what they do for a living. Hey, kudos, much love to you guys. I don't care what you do. It just wasn't working for me personally. I am a kind of person. I have the sniffer for bullshit, and it's the same thing with like politics pundits that are out there. They all are right now. Every single fucking news that's out there right now is talking about Trump. I have nothing to say, but I'm just saying. It's like, dude, do you have something else to fucking talk about? Does it have to be politics? And they all talk about the same shit. Like, you click on one political video on YouTube, they talk about the same thing. You click on the other political news on YouTube, they talk about the same thing. You click on the third one, they always talk about the same thing. And I just don't want any of it. I said, fuck it, right? But the horoscope thing on YouTube, I kind of got into it religiously for some months, and I've noticed they had take the same story and they spin it. There was the dude, he would talk about the woman, and he will say, well, there be this woman, she will, uh, or no, not a woman, but a person. He will say, like, oh, there's this person, and they can't wait to meet you, and they're watching you, and from the corner of the eye somewhere, and then the next day will be kind of the same thing. There's this person, and they wrote you letters, but they never arrived, and there's this letter, right? And I'm like, man, this is the same story, but this with a different spin. And I just kind of just, yeah, I'm like, that's not for me. I think these guys are full of shit, so I didn't want to. I stopped listening to the horoscope people on YouTube. I just I think there might be few that know what they are talking about, but most of those people are really not. They're not on point. They're just not. There are a few that are decent, but most are not. Now, I want to ask you guys: do you believe Do you really believe that two same zodiac signs with the same birthday and everything else are soulmates? I knew a couple, like I said earlier, 20 years ago, and guess what happened? They were so in love. They even stayed at my house for a few days. We hung out, we drank beer, we smoked weed. We were good. I was good friends with them. And this couple that stayed at my house, um, they were so damn in love. They couldn't stop talking about how they are the same sign, the same birthday. They're gonna go to Mexico and get married and all that good stuff. And I'm like, hey, great for you. Good for you. Good for you. You guys gonna hit it off probably. And I was like, man, these guys are mad in love. They're definitely gonna make it. I'm thinking. So probably a few weeks, maybe a few months went by. I met one of them at a store and I spoke to them and I said, well, what happened? Where's the girl? And he's like, well, it didn't work out. So you see what I'm saying? Like that same birthday thing, the same horoscope sign, the same. It's just I don't think it really doesn't mean much. And I just feel like the relationship is more based on not zodiac for sure, but I think any relationship, I think it's based on more like every relationship. I feel like it's based on the listening and the conversation and the communication. Those are the things that are very important in any marriage, anywhere. Hey, how's it going? But uh, and don't but it just seems simple. It's when you say conversation, you say listening, and you say that it's easy to listen to someone talk. How easy is it to keep the communication between the two couples alive? The communication is important, but it's very, very hard to achieve, especially if the other person doesn't want to listen. And I find that really, really hard. Like I am the person that kind of over communicates a lot of times. Myself, I do over communicate. I feel like maybe that's because I come from a background that where people like to communicate. Like if I go somewhere, I'll say, "Hey, I'm going here or I'm going there," right? So that way you know where I'm at. If you're in your family, if you got a wife, you got kids, right? They want to know where you're at. So the communication is really important. Not just a fucking zodiac, excuse my language, not same birthday or you know Gemini and Gemini or Virgo and Pisces or stuff like that. I have researched, I watched, and I've noticed that that's just not true. I'm sorry for those of you who believe in that, but there is some truth to it, like I said earlier. Yeah, yeah, you're welcome. Uh, so, anyways, I not a doctor, definitely not a doctor, but I have experience with this stuff. I guess I've given my heart and soul in trying to communicate with people, and if they communicate back, is where you're gonna see things are gonna start to flourish. There's also one thing I heard from a psychiatrist I used to go and see. He was more like a marriage counselor. I think I've talked about this in episode one about a really bizarre. Well, I won't say it's bizarre, but he gave us a really good advice. And I want to tell you guys this advice. If you are going to problems with your spouse or someone you love, and you guys are going through a stretch that it's toxic, or really hard or hard on both of you. What I was told when I went to marriage counseling, and this worked for me, and I think it works for everybody, and I think should work because we're humans. We want that. He said, give each other a hug every day. One hug. Doesn't matter when or where, how, just a hug. Okay? 30 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever. You have to stand there, kiss each other for 3 minutes, whatever. Just a good hug, and maybe whisper something to each other in the ear, something like that, I love you, whatever, right? Even if it's not real in that moment, it will it will believe that is the right thing to do. Do it every day for about weeks, couple days, and I guarantee you, watch things flourish and get better. Now, it stopped working for me because one of us just gave up, right? Because it's not something that you do for 6 months or 7 months, right? It's more like a test. You know what I mean? Like what he meant to say was give each other a hug every day. It's more like a test. I believe it was more like a test. Like you want to see if that person is interested in fixing things with you, getting things to more of a trustworthy level, no intimacy. I'm talking about just something based on trust and communication. And I'm gonna be honest too, like intimacy isn't really important in marriage after if they're married many years of being with somebody. You are, I mean, let's say married to someone a couple of years, yes, intimacy could become an important part. Um, but I tell you, man, when you're married to someone more than 20 years, you're married to someone more than 25 years, intimacy becomes like on a scale from 1 to 3 or four, number four, number three, it becomes more about the communication and trust. Okay. That's just me. You don't need to listen. That's just me. Many of these things work for me. Okay? I've been with one person now almost 30 years. Now, I don't know what's hiding behind the curtain. I don't know. I don't. I've never looked through my wife's phone one time, ever. I have had chances to look through a phone of my loved one, of my wife, many times. I had a chance to. You know how like people will get paranoid and they look through your phone and do all that kind of shit. Like that's not my thing. I I I, I just want to let things play out. Let it play out. So whatever happens, happens. Right? I'm not gonna obsess if somebody texted or gave her a fucking number or it's just gonna make things worse. Now, like I said, communication is very important. You want to do that. No communication, no bueno, my friends, my comrades. Not just in your marriage, but in your friendship with anybody, anywhere, at any time. With your family, with your father, with your brother, with your son, your daughter. No communication. It's just not good. And um, and I know it sounds simple and easy. You say communication. Oh yeah, sure, yeah, yeah, I can communicate. But the problem is the others won't listen. That's the problem. I think I lost my Coke. Oh, there it is. Well, thank you guys. We have 4 likes. Probably the most I've ever had. And thank you for Easton Feeney so much. Thank you, Easton, for being here. If you want to subscribe, if you like the content. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Wish I have a sip of this Coke. I like a cold Coke. Hold on, no, it's not good for me. I figured, oh, what the hell? I don't drink alcohol, you know. I don't really go to bars. And thank you for the hearts. That's very nice. I don't drink beer. You know, I don't drink really any alcohol. I haven't had it in years. I had a sip of beer. Well, I could say I'm lying. I did had a sip of beer, and I didn't even finish it. I think I had like a half a beer. My neighbor came by, and he was very neighborly. I think I asked him to borrow the lawnmower because I didn't have on my mind broke that day. But the guy brought a beer, and we're like we standing in my yard in like a 90-degree weather. We're just having a cold beer. It kind of felt good at the beginning, but then like it reminds me of like the harsh hangovers that I used to have when I used to drink, and I just don't want any of that. It doesn't feel good. But I did have half of the beer, and that was last year, and it didn't feel the great. It felt okay, I guess. But cold Coke, excuse me, feels much better. Now, guys, I do want to read a couple of things, if you don't mind. So, I have some poetry here that I wrote. So, I have one of the very first ones that I wrote. This one's called Can't You See? You Can't Unsee. I got this one. It's called Smoke Thin Vision. I got the one called Empty Fortune. I'm gonna read the names and you pick. I got a lot of poetry. I got probably over 200, 300 poems that I've written. Cold Word. Now, Cold Word, I could read this. I might, but um, I'm just gonna name some names. There's this one called I've Been Carved. It's in an empty statue. I got the Time Continuum. Now I do want to read Time Continuum. I think it's a really good. I think it's a good poem. So here it goes. Time Continuum. I'm not the best poetry reader, so I'm just warning you. You might be a little bit boring. Time Continuum. This is the time of untamed reality, sentimental type of a man, surrendered and bullied by his faith, totally humiliated and hated. Some would say underestimated in his ways. Truth hangs and begs for forgiveness. He is the hero of his own failure. Did you ever think your reasons are like changing seasons? Levitate in your own conscience. Either the innocence, be brave, do not cave under pressure. Stay strong because you belong somewhere in the time continuum. I'm going to read another one. This one's really long. I think this one might be around 100 plus words. Might be a little too long. But I will read it anyways. I know I'm reading it to myself, but that's okay. Press conference of tears. Summon the moon and the friends around. Whenever the footsteps come around, let us know the time is on its own. So lonely and bored, fragile and old. Understanding captures its fellow cousin. Relation at the speed of light, I was crippled, thrown away under the surface, under the pain. The feelings of a small grain, smaller than the ant's brain. What is the real, factual, simple destiny of the steps taken? As the neighbor planet, who is its next destroyer? The enemy, the answer might be psychic. In this past, there's future and present. Who will give up the fight to rule our world? Who holds the better of the worse? Whatever changes, if it ever does. The gates of fear are frightened to reopen. The press conference of tears and hope are torn. It will be better if they stay shut. This fight between darkness and light, reality is our ecstasy, our downfall in free fall. But deep down, in the hole we're all a hole. Give up the control or you bankroll. It's not your decision, instead our last vision, your final pain, our last train, one final stand. Parasites within faith. This one's only like 70 words, maybe a little more. I usually don't read poetry, but I want to read a couple of them. So, parasites within faith. Inconceivable parasites, my head twists sideways. Intolerance to severe and sudden movements. Splitting of my skull, I'm light years away. My skin is turning gray. I'm 2 times the size. I can heal with my eyes. I can follow the pain. I will drain your veins into mine like fine wine. I will then travel into your mind and poison your kind. Everyone will go hungry, blind, and sick, and without pride. Those that have survived will eat their own. Is it too late to contemplate what is it hate on your plate? Who has faith will survive and thrive until the monsoon rains kill all of the grains. There will be the face in the sky, very familiar. We all know and understand his stand. Don't reprimand, just understand his command. But anyways, a couple of poems there for you. Folks, it's about that time. I do appreciate you all. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you like the content, and if you don't, that's okay. I'm just here to, I guess, try to help myself. It feels good to come out and talk. And I hope that on the way to help myself, I can help some of you in some way, one way or another. And thank you for being here for this episode 7 of Just Another Conversation. I'm your host, Mr. Unspeakable, and we'll see you for another episode 8. Don't know what that will be, but look out for the posts, and we'll see you then.